contact!
How deep can you plunge into the darkness?
Through the dark veil of space, time.
I wish we could have joined you sooner.
This is Warp Chatter.
Time is short. There is much to be done.
The wait ends now.
All right, welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, to the Warp Chatter podcast. This is the podcast dedicated to talking about Horus Heresy Legion's digital card game, Horus Heresy Lore Warhammer 40,000, everything that encompasses. I am your host, Scuffy, and this is a podcast by players for players. With us today, we are going to be going over a couple of players from the World Cup. The teams continue to guest on. We've got joining us this week Team Ireland-Portugal, or Team Portugal-Ireland. I don't know which one you guys prefer.
It's a very unique combo. I think I made a joke about that when we originally went by, where normally you pick two countries that are side by side, but this time we went across the water.
Yes, just a direct way across, I guess. That's the quickest location. But we've got Artur Claro joining us.
Hello.
Hello. And,
hi, everyone.
And then Phototoxin as well.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello. So you guys are joining us from the World Cup, and you guys are in Group B, which is the same group that I've been playing in with Team USA. We're going to be talking about that in general. Get your guys' experiences with the World Cup, how that went out for you, how the games have been, how the matchups have been, if this is your first big tournament in that scale that you guys have played. But before we do that, we're going to do player introductions, and just as a precursor too, I should mention the plan is that after this we'll be talking about cards that healing cards. There's a variety of them in different shapes and forms, neutrals as well as faction specific, and some better than others, and some are not necessarily needed depending on your play style, but I think it might be a good tool for players to listen to as far as if they should or shouldn't be including these or considering those cards as they are currently. But before we get to that, we're going to do player introductions. So let's go ahead and start. We'll start with Artur. Tell us about yourself.
Hi. So I'm speaking from across the ocean, from a small country called Portugal. That's why the team is called Ireland-Portugal. I'm the only one in Portugal in the World Cup. So, small country, big history. I'm currently 35 years old. I work in the Navy, in the military. And I have a daughter, two daughters and a wife, 6 and 4 years old, respectively. Saying that means that my experience with Horus Heresy Legions starts from, I think it's the first expansion that came out. I started the game back when Angron was just one big angry face, and my experience with it is basically trying to do the daily mission among work and home duties. I try to do the daily mission, some couple of games in the event, but I'm not famous for grinding the ladder all the way up to high Terra. I think the most high I've ever been on the game has been 3,500, probably my record. Okay. So I guess that's it.
So you started back when we had the old art Angron then.
Yeah,
just one big angry face.
That's good stuff.
The one who looks like he just ate a lemon.
Yeah, it's with the sharp teeth, the sharp piranha teeth. I missed the piranha teeth. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like I think the full body art looks better, but piranha teeth
gave me fear when I was setting up a match, and then the sound came boom, and I saw his face, and oh my god, this is going to be terrible.
Yes, it was just the general experience for a lot of people forget, because I think the last 2 years really have seen Angron on a back burner. And that's okay. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because the first 2 years he was always at the front and foremost. Like if he wasn't number one, he was in the top 3 to 5, always. Yeah. Always. Yeah. So the fact that he's on the back burner now is not a bad thing. But I mean, it was like, all right, here's another Angron game: Void Engagement, Sark Land Speeders, Mortar Strike, Sweeping Advance. Like it's very similar. I would argue there could be 2 or 3 cards different than an Angron deck today. The difference is everything else that's been added on has hampered that. There's a lot more factions that got can't attack or beefier frontline components, healing, stun, low-cost troops that, like have got value that deter simple face strikes. And I feel like the biggest change especially would be the Reckoning or the Whispers healing. That he lost a big tool there when he lost that 3 extra health. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, he did.
He's got favor of Corn at least, so that's one.
Yeah, he gained some tools. Favorite Corn is not too shabby. Orders from Terra still works for him for lethal reach. Not putting him down, but and then he got Fateful Clash and a couple other cards that he could use if he needs to. Just kind of interesting. Just a good reminder for people who you're like, why don't I see Angron? There's a reason none of us are complaining about seeing Angron. More than anything. And I don't think, Angron is not, he's not in the World Cup. Nobody's running him at all, which is not surprising. He's too easy to tech against.
I'm not going to play.
Well, what do you play as far as 40k goes?
I do the miniatures. I play the 40 game, the tabletop game. So yeah, I paint, collect, and play. Even though kind of less and less every day because it's time consuming. It's every game. It's 3 to 4 hours, and then you have to chat with the other friends, and it's more of a social event rather than a game. So this little niche game, card mobile game, is like a breath of fresh air, just to keep me from the addiction of the 40k tabletop. So
yeah, that's fair. Like you can get your games in 5 to 7 minutes, like a half hour. You can get your dailies in, and 3 hours to get one game in, depending on the scale of it.
Yeah, it kind of your fix for 40k.
Yeah,
till you get.
Well, Phototoxin, tell us about yourself.
So I've been playing like Games Workshop stuff for 26 years. I'm 36. I started when I was about 10, a long time ago.
They get you early in the UK.
Well, yeah, I was actually I was in Ireland at the time. I lived in the UK for as most of my adult life. Actually, I went over there to work and got university and stuff. But yeah, so I'm actually back in Ireland now, which is why I'm on Team Ireland, not Team UK. But yeah, so I've been playing like GW stuff for a very long time. I preferred the fantasy stuff. Didn't like kind of the later ambitions of fantasy, and sort of, I've played other games as well, like Infinity and Malifaux and other miniatures. So I've always been into miniature games and stuff. And then I think it might be in Warhammer Community, or maybe it was just on a random Google Play Store thing. I saw the ad for this game, and I was like, oh, Heresy, because I like the Heresy, but like at the time it's not like the recent release of the big Heresy box wasn't actually a thing about a year ago, I'm going to say, maybe 16 months ago. So I was like, oh, I do like Heresy and the lore and stuff, and I was like, oh, try this. And when I started out, it was the event was like Agents of the Sigilite and Sisters of the Silence with the goodies, I suppose. I think they were like due out soon, and that's why whenever that expansion was happening, that was when I joined anyway. And I actually stuck with them a fair bit because I had a lot of practice with them from the event, because that was kind of the only way to sort of have a reasonable sort of deck, I suppose, to start out with. And then. Yeah, I tried the years I've played Magic, and I played a bit of Pokemon competitively. I used to like run a club and stuff, like in the UK and stuff when I was there and things. So like card games are not new. Obviously, each card game is slightly different, and this one's got its own unique perks that I quite like and stuff. And the mechanics are quite interesting. And obviously, the lore is quite kind of representative of the lore, I find, as well, which is always a bonus for me. Mm-hmm. And then I started messing about. I think about probably 5 seasons ago, I got hit Terra fairly quick. Not Terra, I got to Mars and then hit like 2500, and just stayed there for ages and didn't touch it. And then I started out with, I think it was like Sevatar basically, and made the push to 2600. And then about 2 seasons after that, I've been using Nicona, that filth, that was before the nerf of the mission as well, to get to 700, and then last one I hit 2800. So hopefully I'm going to try and go 2900, 3000. But I'm not like a super uber player. But yeah, that's kind of my background, my journey in this.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Well, and I mean, having a card game background is obviously different than having a tabletop background, but ultimately it's the lore.
Well, I played both, but I mostly prefer miniatures because you're more invested. You paint them, and you kind of it's more social and stuff. Whereas cards are a bit more mercenary, like, oh, this deck is now out of favor. Just pick out the new deck and re-sleeve it, and it's a bit, you're less invested, maybe emotionally. I think maybe it could be a good thing. I don't know. It depends what you're into, but
right. Well,
yeah.
Did you ever play any of the 40k card game iterations, like the physical ones?
No, not the physical ones. Bizarrely, no. I know they're bringing out some Magic the Gathering-based Commander decks, but it's just going to be Magic. I suppose it's not really going to be
that. Yeah, and the more I look at it, like I really want to get into it. And Commander's kind of expensive, but I appreciate that it's just Commander. As
all expensive.
Well, that's true. It is all expensive, but like you said, like it's at the end of the day, it's Magic. Like it's tapping swamps and mountains for abilities. That it doesn't. Yeah. I don't like it.
The other thing that with Magic, I know everyone complains about 40k is a nightmare to play in terms of like the time to just get through 1,000 points, even compared to AOS or even like Kill Team or something, whatever. But
people have never played a normal tabletop like D&D or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and that's the other thing.
I mean, realistically, have you ever played a game Monopoly and finished? Like Monopoly can take.
If you play the rules properly, yes.
Yes, even playing the rules properly, yes, but it takes.
Yeah, because the whole point is that people will get bankrupt really quickly.
They should,
and then you gain them up. The rich person basically gets ahead. It's a lot easier. That's the whole point of the game, is to teach you that capitalism is evil.
Yes.
But if you do the whole free parking and all this rubbish, then it goes on forever because the money never leaves the system.
No, I think the shortest Monopoly game I ever had was, and it was a 2-player game, so it wasn't like it was just 2, and that was like 2.5 hours. And
that's probably about right though.
Yeah.
But it's too long a time for not much investment of fun or whatever.
Right. No, I mean, really, like, it's a race. Like, we knew what we were doing, too. It was like, we're going to go hard. It's like, after it was like, we did it, we played it, we finished this game, and, like, let's not do that again. Like, I would rather play Axis and Allies or Tico or something else like that where there's some variety in it. There's a little bit more, like...
It's less luck-based, more strategy-based.
Yeah.
You say that.
I always look at what... Sorry, go ahead. I'm interrupting you.
I was going to say, you say that, but Drunk Monopoly is a highlight.
Well, yeah, that's different. But like, I always look for what I call like the bank to book ratio, and I don't mean just in money, but like in terms of time invested and stuff. And like, you don't have infinite hours in the day and stuff. So like, am I enjoying this? You know, could I play 2 games of Kill Team and have way more fun than slug through 1 game of 40k?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's maybe less tactical. Maybe it's more about who's got the better army list or which codex is in vogue or whatever. You know, that kind of thing. And that's the other thing with cards. Like with cards, in 3 months' time, your cards can be obsolete because they're rotating constantly. And I appreciate GW has a codex schedule, but at the end of the day, a Space Marine's pretty much going to do a tactical Space Marine squad. Pretty much going to do what a tactical Space Marine squad does most of the time. You know, they're not going to radically change or suddenly become way more useless. It's unless it's like something egregious. They're not going to get nerfed to.
We've decided all bolters now are just.
They shoot bananas.
Yeah, they shoot 6 inches and they're 2 strength less. You're like, what?
Yeah.
That's
not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
Space Marines are going to be weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, toughness 4, strength 4, bolt gun strength 4, rapid fire. Like, it's been like that since forever, I think. You know, I appreciate now they have like weapon skills as 4 pluses and 3 pluses and stuff, but like,
you
can. I guess they've adjusted the way armor saves work. And
yes, well, you say adjusted. That was the way it was back in 2nd edition, and that was the way it was, and that was the way it was in Warhammer Fantasy for years.
Yeah, they went back to a lot of people are like, the 2nd edition rogue trader rules. Like, well, I mean, yeah, it's a change, and ultimately, I don't think
I quite like it. I liked it because
bad. It just is different. You're getting the same result, right? You're still rolling a 6-sided dice and applying a modifier.
Yeah, it's just that it's that all or nothing. It's like, it's either because with the like from 3rd edition to say 7th or 8th, I suppose 8th edition or whatever it was, like your plasma gun is AP say 2, so it will ignore everything. Whereas your autocannon, which is like a 20mm shell for anti-tank, that just bounces off your face as a Space Marine.
Yeah,
because it's AP4, so it either melts through you completely or does nothing. There's no in between. Whereas there was more nuance with the modifiers, but I appreciate they want to make it simpler and stuff. So yeah.
With the card games, I mean, physical card games, there's that rotation out, and I think that's one thing. I've kind of got like a vague topic of that for maybe a later discussion, because that's one thing that we are kind of on at this stage. I mean, obviously there's talk of the Warforged game, which is next year. There's probably going to be expansions for this game, how they'll expand, whether that's in existing factions or not. But the idea of card bloat is something that this game doesn't have rotation. Like, everything is out there. Everything is valid. The difference is a good chunk of stuff is locked behind faction-specific stuff. So
Yes.
that's really where, like, you've got massive neutral pools, which are huge, but ultimately, if Raven Guard are strong, you're playing Raven Guard, and you're using Raven Guard warlords and a majority of Raven Guard tactics to benefit versus, like, hey, I threw together this Raven Guard, and he's using Chariot of the Gods or Pride of the Emperor. I mean, maybe one day they'll open up that Forbidden Door, and you'll get the ability to do, like, ally rules in ladder.
Yeah, there's like a lot of is it Emperor's Children cards that, like, you know, pay one, ping one, and then if it's perfection, you know, ping for an extra one. You're like, oh, Raven Guard and Sentence, and, you know, like, it's
Yeah.
be a bad day for
It
that.
would not be good. Like, I mean, I don't know what they would. It would be crazy because they've done it with some events, you know, and the events for the most part they paired loyalists with loyalists, so you weren't going to get Raven Guard with Emperor's Children, but you did get stuff like Bastion with Sisters of Silence or Custodes with turrets. And, you know, just a variety of things. Like, okay, like, we could make that, or like White Scars with, I don't know, like a lot of Ultramarines? No, did they pair up with, Blood Angels and White Scars, with a lot of flanking units. If they were to make that into open gaming, I couldn't even imagine. I mean, that's so huge. Like, just take the Loyalist factions by themselves and the Traitor factions by themselves. You're like, okay, like, all right, let's take the Sons of Horus, massive burn deck, and let's throw in a couple extra fast units from the World Eaters and no survivors, and, like, it just would ramp that up. And that's that's like simple burn. That's not even doing something like Control with Alpha Legion meshing with the can't attack options from, like,
It just says like something like, you know,
something like that.
and
Yeah.
We had an event where you can have some fun combos, but that's as far as we get to go.
I think it's been a while since we've had one of those, and it'd be nice if we had another one.
It's a shame, too, because it's a good idea.
Yeah, it could be very interesting, and obviously not make it where you've got, like, everything from all the factions. Just, like, pick one as your ally deck rule. Maybe do, like, a season or two of that. I don't know. They should try it out. But it would be.
I was going to say,
yeah, go ahead.
I know from Magic they used to have unglued sets where you had, like, Elvish impersonators, which were like elves dressed up as Elvis, and, like, demonic chickens, and just bizarre stuff that you thought, oh, this is hilarious, and it wasn't legal for tournament play. But in hindsight, they were testing out mechanics for, like, future blocks.
Yes.
So because they could do that in a free space where it wouldn't, even if they screwed up horribly, it would never actually affect the real game. And the same, I hope they do the same here with the events. Like, they can try wacky stuff. It's only ever going to be there for, like, 2 weeks or something, and then, you know, it's gone. And if they learn lessons from it, great. And if we have the fun, even better. And, you know.
Well, and I think, you know, there's an argument to be made there that they did not learn that with Titans, at the very least. Because Titan
What do you mean, the games?
Yeah, they're like, hey, these are really long games. Not a whole lot of people really enjoy these events. We've only had, like, one every 2.5 years or however long it was since the last time. Let's just put them in the game. Let's just put 2 whole factions of them in the game. I don't know, Everguild. I don't know what they're up to sometimes. But Titans are not allowed in the World Cup, so we haven't had to deal with that or worry about that in regards to the World Cup. Now, you guys are playing with, like I said, like Group B in the World Cup, which is Team USA, Team Spain, Team Romania. I think to be fair, I think Team Romania is a hybrid team as well.
Is it Romania? Poland? Is that
Yes,
right?
it's Netherlands and Romania. And then Team Italy. And now, do you guys have a bye this week, or have you? Are you still playing?
We've had a bye week on our second week.
Okay, so you've already had your bye, so you still have got one more game to go. And we're as of this recording, for folks who don't know, the World Cup, I won't say is on hiatus. There's a brief pause for some tournament organizer, real life some stuff. So we're waiting for that last week to get the matchups and the rounds going and get content going back up again. But with the 4 weeks that we've had so far, including your bye, so you guys have played 3 rounds. How have those games gone? I know you guys have. There's been a couple of Warlord changes in your roster so far. Do you guys get together and have discussions about who's taking what or what your matchups are each week? Like, typically, how does that work for you guys as a team? How's that been?
We've had our discussions. We decide among us who should we take. You take this guy, I take that guy. So even though it's not big, deep discussions, but it's we manage all that. So
it's pretty casual. It's not like there's no like high level strategy of you have all these controlling characters and I'll have all these aggro. It's more like who's comfortable with what, who wants such and such more than I want such and such, and yeah, it's a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, casual.
Well, and ultimately, I mean, yeah, hopefully you're playing what you are comfortable with. Not just like, hey, you need to take, this warlord because they're really good. You're like, I don't play that warlord.
Well, in week one, I panicked, and because I ended up using like Iron Hands Ferris Manus, which is not a deck I ever use, but I just cobbled it together and kind of panicked. Going, this is the only thing I can think of right now on the spot, and so it's pretty bad. But yeah, that
just impressed it even happened.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, it can happen. It can happen. The last week, you guys ended up with a couple, and I think it's not the first week because there was another week in there where, yeah, like I saw there was a couple of surprise choices. Or kind of like, oh, okay, like interesting choices here. Last round, I should say. Your picks kind of included Latara, Peck, Maudrum, Valdor, Martarian. So some interesting picks. Not saying that they're bad, because I think Mortarion and Peck are really good. Latara's got some options there, but if that's really what you guys are comfortable with, I think that's a big thing.
I think I was the Mortarion person because I'd used him a bit. He's kind of an easy deck to run. It's basically the stun and poison lock until you get the we just constant respawning kind of things, or the big blocks at the end, like the Death Treads and the big tank and stuff. It's pretty idiot proof, but it's also kind of scary of does someone kind of go, can I actually deal with this army? Do I have jams and stuff to like counteract this? Because you know what the deck's going to do, but it's just a case of like it's just more of a threat than really a great deck. And it's, as I say, it's kind of one that's easy enough to play maybe. And I had all the cards for it, which is kind of also important, because sometimes you think, I don't actually have like Blood Angels. I'm still missing Sanguinary Guard, which is literally an auto include.
Yeah, you definitely gotta have that.
Yeah, whereas we've got everything else, and you're like, well, I can bring, I could bring my, my sword of whatever majig for 5 energy and stuff, or I could bring, if I had the card, I'd bring Sanguinary Guard. But so you think, it might be worth bringing actually a deck that's maybe not as powerful, but actually is more powerful because of the way I can build it.
Right. Yep.
Rather than a theoretical one that you can't build, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and that's true. I mean, there are some, like, if you don't have that key card, or when you get the key card eventually, like, you can feel the difference. Like a Dark Angels deck without Astrovel is night and day. Like once you get Astrovel in play, like you don't have to play him a whole lot, but you play him once or twice, like, oh, I see the benefit. Like he puts pressure on, he changes up the pace of the game, and that's just one of several cards that that deck could have that ramp up its ability. The Night Praetor Ramiel, I would argue Peligore is a possibility, and like those are legendaries and epics, but once you get them, you feel the difference versus not having them at all. Versus some decks where you're like, hey, you could play Mortarion and not necessarily need defensive maneuver. Or what's the other one that's like not the Captain Polgorg?
Yeah.
Like you don't need to have those. If you get them, great. You don't even need to mix them in. If you do have them, like you won't feel the difference. But yeah, like your instance, like Sanguinary Guard, not having that very, very valuable like tool. It's a big tool.
Yeah, especially the fact that it's got flank and stuff as well. Because if you're doing a Requiem deck, you think, well, I'll happily trade this as well if necessary. It gives you more options and so on. Like that one, I feel it makes of Onatob's Barge is just one of those really. It's really good in a lot of weird decks because it's like suddenly I have defense whereas normally I wouldn't. And then the other one that's annoying me is it's relatively new. Can't think of her name. It's like Sarosa Naran or something. She's the 4 energy. Yeah, and she's like, screw everyone's tactics, because that's like a counter to a load of decks.
Yes.
Like they're the ones I feel stung by that not having. But like that's just a part of a card game at the end of the day. It's not as egregious as a lot of other card games. Where you don't have this card, you will never win. But just it's. Well, and it's just interesting.
It's more important too when they're neutrals, right? Because like a neutral, like if you don't have Barge, all right. all your decks aren't going to have barge, but there are options, and depending on what faction you're playing, maybe you don't necessarily need barge. If you have it, great. It's cool. Neo Sukasin is a good tool, but not every deck is going to use her if they can't protect her or support her in the same way. But
like I've been trying to I've been trying to Corex deck, and one of their cards is the Unhouse Barrage, just for that if they try to out aggro you. I was like, well, I don't have it, but I do have the useless Tech Marine that puts three sentence on every Titan weapon. Suddenly that's actually a nice tech option, So I suppose that's how innovation happens as well, like indirectly, like you have to make do, and that might actually be something you might discover something useful in things.
Well, yeah, and even just the unknown, right? Like when you're like these, like I said, like the Warlord list, when it's kind of unusual surprise, it's like what are they doing with this Warlord? Like I don't know. Or as you're playing cards, like what are they playing? Like I came to this match expecting Fulgrim perfection, and it's throwing out Fulgrim like desperate defense. Like what's going on here? Like, and sometimes by that time that happens, the surprise, it becomes a huge advantage in that regard. How have the games worked out for you guys? I mean, collectively, as the weeks have gone on, have there been moments? Have you guys talked with your opponents after the fact? I know, Artur, you and I talked after our games a little bit as far as your picks and plays somewhat. I know you kind of explained, you're kind of doing some memes a little bit there, and Kroger didn't work out so good.
I kind of made myself friend of a Spanish player, Cachuro, so that was a great discussion I had with him. By somewhere along the line, we were discussing sci-fi horror movies, and then how does the game itself, it became lost in the conversation. So yeah, I've been discussing our matches with the opponent. As a group, collectively, it's not being so great. We've lost all games so far.
I won one that didn't count.
Yeah, so as a group, unfortunately, it hasn't worked out so well. So we started off with the Netherlands, Romania. Yeah. I lost 2 games and one game. My fantastic Kruger deck is my main character in this story. Won a game against Karn, which is a very aggressive player. Karn is just like hitting you every time, and Kruger is someone who is good at controlling the enemy's board, and I still did manage to win, mainly thanks to my frontline troops. You got the Bitter End, you've got the Rakaros squad, you got some tools, and that was a fortunate win. But then the other games were not so good. So I'll just keep talking about my games in against the other countries. So then we were against we were the bye week, the second round, and then the third round we went against Spain. I lost all 3 games. It was a hard matchup. Let me see. I was going with Lotara. I thought to myself, well, Lotara can definitely take on Russ from Space Wolves. So, but it didn't work out because Lotara went against Gilliman. So Gilliman was always activating Courage every single turn. While Lotara's strategy is to build a board, Gilliman is great at denying the board. Mm-hmm. And then I had some soft troops that I usually put behind my frontline troops, like, Kaizulana and stuff, and then Gilliman can just deal damage directly to those very soft troops. Then Fulgrim lost to Loken, and I almost threw my phone off the window, because I thought to myself, damn, Loken. Who would expect Loken in a World Cup? Just a bad match, bad draws, bad luck, bad skill. Then finally, I went against you. As you may recall, I went with Kruger. Kruger left your Sevatar with 1 health point.
Yes.
I'm not mistaken.
It was
such
down
a
to the
close
wire
match.
there. Yeah, I was like, if he's got the
down
lead.
to 1. And then you won with Gage, because Gage can be suffocating sometimes. He can just start to build, and then you drop that Apothecary, and then the apothecary starts to heal everyone around him, and then it's very hard to turn the tide on Gage. When he's got when Gage is on a roll, he's practically unstoppable. And then the final one, it was Sigismund, and I don't know, what did I take against Sigismund? Can't remember.
Was that Latar? Was that Latar versus Sig?
Yeah, I think it was Latar. Yeah, it was another loss. So yeah, it's not been a happy. It hasn't been so fortunate rounds for me. But still, Kruger is my main character, and he's almost always banned. So bad luck for me.
That was kind of my follow-up question for you guys. Like, what's been your thought process with the banned choices, and also how do you guys feel about the way this format works?
Yeah, I think bans is a very interesting choice because it gives you the option to remove the scariest warlord. You always have that scary warlord that haunts you at night, and you think to yourself, well, I can't play against that guy, I always lose no matter how, so let me ban that guy. So sometimes that's the point. Sometimes it's just the fact that your decks are built with a specific aim, and that warlord over there can mess it up on your deck, so yeah. That's why I usually take Lotara, because it's a high stakes warlord. It's he can either win glorious wins or he can have crushing defeats. It just depends on who you're taking.
Yeah. Like, I know for myself, the playing the game is one thing, but then like the tournament kind of meta is another thing. Like what 4 warlords should you take? Should they all be slightly different, or should you sort of double down on a particular type of tactic like aggro control or whatever? Mm-hmm. And then which warlord should you put against what you think they're bringing, and which of theirs should you ban? And that's a whole different system. And like, I've been notorious because I've been changing my warlord every round, basically playing 3 rounds with 3 different warlords, even though like sometimes I probably should have stayed with the original one, because once they win with one, they can't use it again. So I haven't really been playing to that strategy, like the basic kind of tournament strategy. I've been kind of more trying to concentrate on the game, the actual card game itself. But I think the tournament makes it a sort of an even broader sort of set of skills. You know, you need to be obviously great at the card game, but you also need to be good at your deck building, and you also need to be able to like read your counters and your weaknesses and stuff as well, which is something I know I'm weak at.
I think
you said something which is sorry. I was just saying that Phototoxin said something very right, which is, if I could go back in time, I would tell my team and myself, let's just make choices to double down on a certain style. So I will take 4 aggro warlords, and he can take 4 control warlords, and that would make, I think, all the difference, because no matter who you ban, you're always going to have aggro warlords, and that can turn the tides.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to figure out what's the equivalent to mono black control in this game.
Probably, if I just had to like rake my head, mono black control by Legion standards, I would say either Night Lords.
I would say Night Lords myself, or maybe Iron Hands, because they have a lot of like, I'll nuke myself, but I'll nuke you too, kind of thing.
Maybe I'm just thinking like a lot of like card removal, indirect removal options, or like locking down. Yeah, I think Night Lords are the number one there. Just I'm thinking with terror and their fear and all that stuff.
You can't attack. You have no attack. Your attack is now -2. You know, and then mass board wipes and stuff. Yeah, I do love them. Like, I love Savitar at the minute. So
they've got that feel.
Also, doesn't help them doing Night Lords in actual 30k with classic soldiers.
I don't know how their rules work right now, currently, how the Night Lords are faring or not. I remember when I first...
Into 30K?
Yeah, are they different in 30K and 40K?
Oh, yeah, in 30K...
Yeah, like, very much so.
So in 30K, basically, every Space Marine army has one core book where they all have, like, all have Cash Factory Terminators, all have, tactical squads, all have support squads, all have assault squads. And then depending on which legion, so say Night Lords, you'll have access to the characters like Kurz and Savitar and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Grab the rules. I have the book right here.
And then you'll also have access to a terror squad, which is basically like a specialist elite squad, specialist veteran squad that can like infiltrate, can see in the dark, because at Night Lord you can make it nighttime for half the game, and cause fear, which Space Marines of 30k don't have the rule. They shall know no fear. That's a 40k thing.
Some of them do.
Yeah, some of them are like more resistant to fear, definitely.
Well,
most of them
resistant.
aren't.
Some are immune outright, like salamanders, but that's old.
Yeah, I was going to say salamanders. Yeah, I used to play salamanders in 30k, and I was like, do I want to do them in 30k? And I was like, no, they just get the butts handed to them all the time. So
Okay.
I said I'll switch to Team Evil. And
I
then
found
you get,
my book here.
Yeah, and then you get Raptor squads, for example, for Night Lords as well, which are basically specialist assault squads.
I actually don't know how many special squads they get in total. Let me check real quick.
And there's a supplement that gives an Atramentar Terminators as well, I think. Oh, and there's also the other Terminators as well, the Contenkar Terminators, I think, as well.
Yeah, that's old 30k though. 30k got completely reworked this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, but
oh, yeah.
Yeah, but they produced a PDF that put in some of these extra units as well, like the Atramentar, and then the 3 other units should be in the Liber Hereticus, or whatever you call it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think only the Atramentar are missing because you got Terror, Raptor, and the Contenkar.
Yeah, but the Atramentar, there's a download for that on the website. Yeah, they got some good stuff. Their rights to war, they're fine. Their advanced reactions, okay. The problem is they're not doing strong because their troops are outperformed by most other special troops. Yes,
I have an Alpha Legion army.
You can just take anything you want.
Yeah, I get whatever I want, and at any time I can say I'm playing it as a loyalist or a traitor, no matter what warlord I bring.
I shall bring this specialist unit of Crimson Paladins from the Blood Angels. I shall bring this specialist unit of Salamander Marines as well in my Alpha Legion.
It's a shame you can't bring both. You're only allowed one.
Yeah.
So if you do bring them, you also get their rules.
Yeah.
Alpha Legion's a load of fun.
It's disgusting. I was going to do Alpha Legion, then a mate of mine was doing it. I was like, nah, I'll stick with the Night Lords. Just put skulls and dead bodies everywhere, and just goth it up like completely.
Have the Night Lords gotten their special Mark 6 helmets yet?
No, they haven't. But I was cheeky. I 3D printed them because I'm not paying €20 for 10 shoulder pads. To be quite honest, when I have 30 Terror Marines, about another 50 other Marines, like it's just not. It's insanity. Like to be quite honest, I'm not a fan of 3D printing whole models, like whole Space Marines, but bits like shoulder pads and things. Like
I mean, I'm just happy, or not really happy. I'm more hyped. So, because I want to see what they do for Alpha Legion for the Mark 6 helmets, because Space Wolves came out. Oh man, they're funny looking.
Yeah, they might do
that's the good way to put it.
The artwork for Exodus has a kind of like he's got like a little crest on it, I think, hasn't he, or something?
Yeah, but he's not really wearing Mark 6.
No, I suppose he's not, is he?
So I want to see what they do for a beak. They could make it like a snake head because they've already doubled down and gave the Space Wolves wolf heads. Like, that is a joke of a helmet, and I love it.
What the
I posted in this chat we have.
Oh, the Space Wolves one, yeah. Did you see that? And the meme with like all the shoulder plates we made out of them and everything.
Everything's a wolf, and then he's shooting wolf head bullets. Yeah. Like that's.
There's the Headhunter squad that's kind of got the fangs, like a reptile-y kind of face on it.
Yeah,
maybe, I don't know.
But it doesn't have the beaky nose. I know.
No, it doesn't.
I know Death Guard got a new helmet.
I remember when I started playing 40k, my first year, one of the friends in our group, he had a Night Lord's army, and this is 3rd edition. This is like when that 3rd edition Chaos Codex came out, and their one thing was like, all right, you can have Raptor squads as troops, and you have hit and run. That's it. And he had more fun painting and converting them than actually playing them. Like he lost every game. Like hit and run with the rule system as it was, and the armies he's playing, like it did nothing for him. Like he's like, all right, I get out of combat, so then you can shoot and charge me again. Like why would I want that?
Yeah.
Like it just didn't make sense. I mean, his army looked really good. They had lightning bolts at the side. Really went up with the skulls and that horror aspect, but he didn't have fun with them, and the rules just weren't that great. But 40k is different than 30k, obviously, and obviously, you've got Xenos and you've got other broad rules to contend with. And yeah, he was also playing, Space Marines who have no fear. Like that's all right.
Yeah, that's just how it works.
Yeah.
Like half the armies are loyalist Space Marines. Like at the end of the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just it's a poster, boys. When I thought of Warhammer, and I first was shown it. When I first saw a different colored Space Marine, I asked, "Are they not all blue?" It's what you're shown is what you think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, used to be red though in second edition.
It's the same colors on like all the model boxes too. It's not like they mix it up unless you were getting like a Dark Angels box or Blood Angels box. Yeah.
But like it's weird because second edition had Blood Angels, third edition had Black Templars, and then it just sort of doubled down on. Then they did Ultramarines, and then I think they did Dark Angels for one of them, and then they were back on Ultramarines all the time.
Yeah, like for the game boxes, Ultramarines have had the longest stint, I think. which I get it. I think they made their choice and they went that way. I get Blood Angels and Space Wolves technically have got their own codex, Dark Angels as well, so it doesn't quite make sense to make that your main Space Marine army. But there's a lot of other Astartes armies that are like, I don't want to say Imperial Fist, but I'm going to say Imperial Fist. And then you've also
pretty much compliance.
Yeah. White Scars, Salamanders, Iron Hands. I mean, those are just the Spanish legions. Like if you talk about Secundus, you've got the Crimson Fists, you've got the Nova Marines, you've got pick an Ultramarine successor, throw them in there. Like they
literally have they have one called the Genesis chapter, and their literal purpose is you are Ultramarine replacements. 10 Ultramarines die and then just take them from these guys. Sorry lads, we need to stock up on Ultramarines.
Your job is just to survive so we can take you as recruits. That's your job.
Yeah.
Well, and now has this World Cup, has this been your guys' first big tournament that you played?
It's been my first big tournament. As I said before, I'm a casual gamer. I do the daily mission and not much. So it was it's been awesome to participate in a major tournament.
Yeah, for this game, yes, I've played other tournaments and events and things for different games and doing pretty well at Pokemon for a while in the UK, but there's no scene in Ireland, unfortunately, for adults anyway, because it would be a bit weird playing with kids. For this it has been, but the advantage is that most of your players are high caliber and you're going to learn from it as well. And I've had great chats with everyone that I've played against and stuff. It was really nice and offered feedback, but not in a condescending way. And it's been really positive all around and very supportive and stuff. Which that in itself is a great experience, as well as learning how the tournament works and how to get a bit more. Because the thing is, if you're playing ranked, you might just find someone with a meme deck, and you're like, well, there's no, you have no chance because it's just off the chain. You don't know what it does, or and in just practice matches, it can be anything. Whereas at least you're playing against people who are invested to win, are using their best possible decks. They're going to be bringing their A game, so you can learn a lot from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's true, and like you said, I think the feedback and the discussions between games, for the most part, it's more than just a GG. It's like you had me there. You could sometimes you got questions as far as that one play you did, was that did you have something to answer that? Because I second guessed myself there, or why did you have that one card in there? And like you said yourself, Arturo, you thought Latara would be a good pick against Russ, and just because of the way that the game worked out, you weren't matched up against Russ. So that was it would have been a solid pairing, more in your favor than the other. So then you got to change up your strategy, afterwards. And those things can happen. That's part of that, but it's not. It doesn't make it any less fun, or I don't think anybody we've talked to so far has had a negative experience in the World Cup, which is good.
Yeah. No negative experience. It's all great games, great players, amazing players. I have to say, some players I just get awed by the skill of some.
Yeah, some people have been playing this for a while. Others just pick it up and become naturals.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of us can do that. I know some users like GMAT over in the first World Cup joined World Cup after 4 months of playing, 6 months of playing, some stupid number like that.
Yeah, he was relatively.
It's just annihilate people though.
Yeah.
There's always someone that like that. They literally just sit there and study the game solid for 2 days, and then right, I've solved it now, and just start slapping left, right, and center. There's always one.
Yeah. And then,
they're already at 2,000 rank. How'd this happen? They just hit stride. They knew they got a warlord that worked, and they started playing it.
They also could have came from Hearthstone or another popular card game, so the mechanics just transfer over. Some of us go in blind, pick Garrow as our first warlord with no card pool, and then give up after a week. That is I. Yeah. That is me.
Mm-hmm.
Happens the best of us.
But say Garrow is still pretty consistent. He's
true,
good.
But if you just begin the game, I do not recommend Death Guard at all.
Oh God, no, God, no.
Don't touch them if you're new. You'll just hurt yourself.
No, I learned that when someone mentioned that to me earlier on. I was like, yes, that seems sensible.
There are some factions that are just better for beginners for a variety of reasons, and some is you're going to get frustrated playing the game, playing a faction you don't understand or don't win with, and then you're not going to be playing. And there's a lot of other factions that you can have a positive experience with and win, but I want to keep playing.
Yeah, it's that whole thing of a skill ceiling and skill floor kind of thing, where I wouldn't know enough to name a particular commander, but imagine maybe Custodes, for example. You can probably do all right with them on kind of autopilot mode to an extent, but to get like the best out of them, you probably need to be playing like a high level game. Whereas there might be some other like factions or commanders that no matter how good you are, they're probably capped. There's only so far you can probably take them, and then there's probably everything in between as well. And that's always the danger, is it? Well, and then there's obviously the playstyle. Like, does this playstyle suit me? Am I more reactive or am I more proactive? Do I like aggro? Do I want to shut them down, or do I just want to assassinate the warlord and I don't care if I'm on 1 health at the end? There's like, and again, all in between.
Yeah, and I think that's really it, because some of it will come down to personal preference. And then the other part is like, the skill level, because you could have that personal preference with the faction that is good at it, but if your skill level to use those cards, I mean, Custodes is a high, I want to say high skill level, but it really is. Like, if you just start dropping down Sentinel troops turn 1, turn 2, you're going to have a bad game
have a bad
experience.
time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, these guys, look, it's a 5/5. And that's it. I hope that was your strategy, was to make that 5/5 do 30 damage in 2 turns.
Yeah.
It won't. Yeah. Well, getting to the other topic, the other idea, kind of mixing in a little bit with the different tiers. Healing. There's a lot of cards that do healing in the game, and I think just in general, it might be kind of good to, kind of review them. Like, because some are more effective, some are more useful than others, and there are some that are some factions that have got healing cards that see play more than others. Why they do, what's worth considering, is your game style one in which healing is going to be necessary or not. It's kind of a broad topic, but I think hopefully as we get into it, we can shed a little bit more light on it and hopefully give some people some thoughts, something to think about and chew on. So I personally would rate healing cards as a collective in 3 categories for me. One would be kind of a niche / like very rare that this card will see play. 2 would be it's versatile. Not everything needs it, but it serves a purpose. It's okay. You might replace it with something else down the road, whether you want to lean in more with aggressive or you need something more useful for your longevity of your game. And then 3 are those cards that are just auto include with the faction, because why wouldn't you?
Starting off with the last category, I was shuffling the collection while we were speaking, and I see Death Guard's Endurance as a staple card. It's a crushing card. It deals 3 damage to everyone, and then it just heals 3 to every card you have. It's just an absolutely must-have card in that one. And then the Captain Yu-Gi-Oh! It can turn your warlords from the death to the full capability in their turn.
Yeah, and a good part about the captain, whose name I can never say, so I'm just going to call him Captain Juju. It's not just your troops.
Is that not Hologarg? Is it? No,
that's Yu-Gi-Oh!
No, it's a
3 drop.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! I call him Captain Juju because the name hurts me. Letters that shouldn't be aligned that way. He's a really good heal. Yeah, it affects enemy troops too, so you can. It affects your own. You can drop a Death Cloud, then drop him, and all your troops that you just poisoned will heal you. So at least they give value back.
Well, yeah. Kind of as an example, like in the same faction, right? Like let's consider adding health as a heal. You've got warlords that have got that. You've got Typhon. You've got also Nathaniel Garrow. But then you've also got that card Shield Up, which fully heals and removes poison from a friendly troop and gets +1/+1. That is in the same faction, but that's a card that you're really not going to employ in the same degree. Like I see it maybe if it's in a draft, if we're playing Death Guard in a draft or something like that. It removes poison. That's great. It fully heals, so like they get their full health back. But when you compare that to Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is just going to give you value after value as well as presenting a body that your opponent has to get rid of, or Endurance, which is board-wide 3, heal 3 to all of your stuff, like, there's no comparison. Obviously, you can't pack all that healing, and their shield up is only troop specific too. It's not warlord specific. So there's a difference of value there. And the Death Guard are a good example of a faction that heals or adds health. Gildirk Squad gives +2 health to a friendly troop. That's not a bad rally. It's not always necessary, depending on if you're running a Mortarion that's running control, and you've only got 6 to 8 troops in your deck. Do you really want a Gildirk?
Yeah.
If you're investing in the front line stuff, you might like the bunker and the wall of corpses and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Could be. Yeah.
You could get a wall of bodies meme going.
Yeah, wall of bodies. Sorry, not wall of corpses.
Wall of corpses sounds just as good.
It's pretty much the same thing, except one sounds more metal. It's not bodies.
Yes.
Yeah. I think actually wall of corpses is a magic card. I think that is pretty much identical. Like he pumps up when things die.
For everything in the graveyard.
But anyway.
Yeah,
something like that. But
I mean,
we know what it means.
Yes. Yeah. So as far as
Death Guard has.
go ahead.
Death Guard has 9 healing cards. I was just counting them, so it's a massive way of healing.
Yeah,
they have a lot. Yeah,
Purity of Will is another great one. Just in that faction alone, like Resolution Heal 2 to your other units.
Yeah,
and
it's the resolution thing.
Yes,
it's the continuous kind of
in the entire game.
Yeah,
the Rhino.
Yeah, it's the continual ticks. Like the other one is like the Poxy Apothecary in Ultramarines again. Theon is it or something?
Yes, Apothecary.
And he's the 2 units, 2 units, which is not as good as this, arguably, but it's still pretty strong. And then I think like the servo arm, because there's whole builds around like mono warlord. He's healing 4 turn with 2 servo arms in Iron Hands, but it's that constant healing. Like it all adds up over the sooner you put it down, the more effective it becomes, because the longer the game goes on, the more you're going to heal.
And especially when it is an ability on a warlord, like whether that is the ability built in, like Typhon just being able to heal 2 to his units as a given, like every turn, whether you have Purity Will or down or not. Garrow being able to give +2 health every time you play something, like that's nice, but you have to use energy for those abilities. You throw down a servo harness, and that's a free every turn 2 health. You don't have to worry about it from there. Like a servo harness is in regards to Iron Hands, I would say it was the Iron Hands equivalent of like endurance. Like it's if you're doing a mono build, if you're playing out wide, board wide, you're going to have a bunch of other troops. That might not be the best case, because then it's going to kind of bounce around who it's healing. It may not be a bad thing, but also if you're playing troops at 5 energy, you might want to be playing troops and not playing tactic. If you're a mono warlord, you've got nothing else to lose except play that tactic on yourself.
Yeah. Like, they're notorious in Santar decks as well, aren't they? And things like that, where it's just, lol, I'm pinging you all day and I can't die kind of thing.
Yeah. At minimum, I'm healing 4 and I'm doing 4 to you. Like, that's a swing of 8 every turn. Can you top that? Now, then
Many games I've lost to Santar like that.
Yes. Yeah. When they get those things off on curve, you're like, well, shoot.
Yep.
Some factions have plenty of healing too, and then some just don't have any.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some they don't have any, or they just don't need it. Like a lot of them do.
Shout out to
a lot of them don't need it.
Shout out to word bearers who have fanatical zeal. It's not the best heal, but I do enjoy it.
It actually,
I was going to talk about it. I was going to talk about it, word bearers, because that card is great. But great, I don't mean it's.
I run it in almost every deck. I know a lot of people don't like it. But I mean, it's healing 3 to my whole board. If I attack your face as almost every warlord, that means net gain. If my troop didn't die, it will just heal it again. And if I have no board and I really need a heal, I get a body still.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I think
basically
go ahead.
Sorry. In the same page as the word bearers, there's a card I've never seen play. It's Zealous Pawn. Why will I can't understand this card. So, have you ever seen this card?
Yeah, well, we saw it when they had the faction release for Galaxy in Flames, but nobody plays it. Destroy friendly infantry or Astartes, heal your warlord by the same amount as its health. Like for 2 energy, as an epic, you're thinking, oh, cool, I'll just destroy this. This I don't know, like Kurtha said, for 5, I get 5 health, and then I get a greater demon. Like that's a 7 energy play. You heal 5.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your best exchange option. To be fair, that's probably your best option that you get.
I was going to say that is something like the best, because most of the time you want your units to either you want your infantry to demon host them, or you want your Astarius to demon host them, or you want your infantry to be eaten by your demon hosts.
And more importantly, if you're playing infantry, like you've got like 2 health, 1 health, like.
And the worst part is, if you attack, it doesn't say maximum health; it just says health.
Right.
So if you use it first to attack, you're healing more.
Yeah. It's got like 1 health left. You're like, all right, I killed it. I get 1 health for 2 energy. Like,
I would question if that card costs 0 energy, would it even see play?
If it was 0, I think there would be an argument for it in a Wordbearer's mission deck. But we're talking Wordbearer's mission, so that's already off to a bad start.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wordbearers got done dirty constantly. They're the Stormtroopers of 40k.
Yeah, I think that's...
They look cool.
Yeah,
they are the ultimate bad guy.
Evil villain that has to constantly die and be thwarted constantly.
That's right. They'll
have their moments. They'll have all of Kalos was great until they started twirling their mustaches and doing dumb things for no reasons, and they got underground word. It happens.
Like, to be fair, in 30k, like, I think a big part of the appeal is the fact that all of the traitors are nuanced compared to 40k, where they're just like, for chaos, we will just massacre all of them and eat the baby skulls and stuff. Whereas in 30k, they're a bit more honorable or something. We still have Night Lords, yeah, but they only eviscerate, like, they only crucify 1 small child to teach the rest not to steal sweets. It's okay. That's proportionate, right? I mean, that's...
You say that half of them were following the corn during the siege. Well, not half of them, but large groups of squads were like, well, we already skinned people, and we already drink their blood.
And we already have the skulls.
Rip use that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wordbearer's done dirty, so we can just pretend their healing doesn't exist. Then there's the Alpha Legion, who I would say has the most healing potential.
I would say, I mean, they have, with 1 card, with Orphans of War, or not Orphans of War, sorry, one of many. One of many. You could potentially not only heal from the Orphans of the one of many. I keep saying Orphans of War. I see it abbreviated in my head. But then also you could then get an Alfarius identity generated, and then that's going to lead you also into a Omegon identity generated. Like that's and it used to, way back in the day, it used to heal you back up to 35 hit points if you didn't get Alfarius, and it healed for a little bit more. So you could theoretically get 15 health off of that. And this is back before Exodus was in the pool, so you had a 1 in 3 chance of gaining Alfarius. Now, currently, One of Many does not generate Sheed-Ranko as an identity. That's probably going to be patched at some point. But so if you're playing Sheed-Ranko and you One of Many, you're not going to be doing Sheed-Ranko anymore the rest of the game. So that becomes kind of a liability, but at the same time, is it? Like, you could still get Exodus. If you're playing that way, if you want to get Alfarius, if you just want to live a little bit longer and have some extra health, it's not a bad tool to have. And I would be hard-pressed, like, when I built my Sheed-Ranko deck, like, I still keep 1 in there just because I can't quite get rid of it. Like, I feel like I gotta have it, you know? Like, I don't use it.
The Alpha Legions, like, sometimes that 1, like, 4 health, it can buy you that 1 turn that means they draw a trap, or buy you that 1 turn that means you can, do whatever Alpha Legion shenanigans you're going to do. Mm-hmm. Compared to, say, some other decks where if you're at 4 health, or you're at, say, 4, if you're that low, you're probably going to lose anyway. Whereas Alpha Legion, you can, a turn can, like, more so than a lot of other factions, 1 turn can turn it around, because you can just say, oh, I'll just now stun everyone and now I'm going to win.
Yeah, I'm going to still prep my ability. We're at 10 energy, 1 shot, 1 kill. Yeah, exactly.
I can see why it's definitely worth keeping in. Like, healing's certainly more useful to some factions than others, I think, is probably a fair assessment.
Yeah, and then you've got like factions like the Iron Warriors. They've got Logos, right, which heals 4 and then gives +1/+0 to Iron Warriors that you put in play. If you're playing a burn Iron Warriors deck, you're not going to have any Iron Warriors troops in play, so you're paying 4 to heal 4. Not the same return. Like, this, it's the same health return, but it's really more useful if you're actually playing Iron Warriors troops.
Yeah. I love how it affects the bunkers as well.
The barricades, I should say. It took a while. It took a while to get that.
We've asked for so long for barricade to be counted as an an Iron Warrior instead of what it did, but it's like, wow.
And then you've got, if we had to go through all of the healing cards, and there's a lot. There's a lot of faction specific. Like, some factions, some factions don't have healing. Some factions don't have healing. Most do. But the neutral healing can be for everybody. Doesn't mean that every neutral healing card is useful, but I think some of the biggest ones that are, you've got Pi Alpha, which is gonna
ridiculous.
heal 3, remove stun to your warlord, just your warlord now, but your warlord's gain that benefit. You've got Wonders of Tisca, you've got Ekratrez. I would argue Manifest Destiny should be kind of considered in that regard, especially if it's adding Survivor, kind of like, adding health.
Yeah, I was going to say, because like Survivor's kind of like healing, but it's obviously
Survivor's better healing.
I feel
because you're hit for 50 damage on your 2/2 Survivor 1, you still have a body left,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you're hit for 50 damage on your 2/10, he's dead.
Yep.
It's definitely better. Yeah.
Yeah, having to break up your opponent's lethal chain if possible is sometimes in of itself a godsend. And then I think there's a couple others within. Hang on here, I gotta dig through the neutral pool. The neutral pool is massively huge. That's kind of a pain in the butt.
Luckily, if you just type in the word heal in the search, it should just lock them.
Oh, see, I don't use those. Angelic Presence is another good one.
Slider, Greatest Duty, the Orderlies that came out, but that's only for Truth.
Yeah, that one's just for Truth, which is not bad if you're running a troop build and you kind of want something to board, especially Solar Auxilia, because that kind of builds them in there.
Quark, I guess. Quark heals himself.
Heals too, doesn't he? That's
Yeah, as far as he's got that built in. You're going to use that once you get your front lines out there.
A lot of healing you're going to find is either in the Chaos card pool or the Mechanicum card pool.
Yeah, and some of the Mechanicum card pool is specific to like heal a vehicle, or give Survivor a vehicle or something like that. But like
Epsilon and Engineering.
Yeah, as far as the tactics go, or the troops that you're going to use as far as a neutral wide presence, Pi Alpha 52 is probably your top dog there. I think that heals and removes stun.
And then probably followed by Wonders of Tisca, but because it's more expensive, it heals one more, but you can pick any unit.
Right, and you're not getting a body with that one. It's a little bit more.
Yeah.
You're not getting the unit, but you are getting a little bit more, and you're getting the option to choose. I think Chaos. I don't think Chaos. Ekratrez is probably the only one I can think of. But in that regard, with these neutrals, what I wanted to kind of talk about with them is some of them are obviously like Wonders of Tisca is very handy in mono warlord decks. It's a tactic you can draw. It won't throw down a board. It's going to be always useful to heal your warlord and remove stun. That's never a bad thing. And then you've got other options like Ekratrez, which is slower by standards, but in some builds, where you can give him Bastion, or give him a buff with Lucretia, or heal him with
heal him,
he's got his own built-in heal. Like suddenly that slow troop, if he sticks around, lasts forever. Branthan can make amazing use out of not just Ekratrez, but if you've got Apothecary Norn down, 1 Pi Alpha Theta becomes 20 in a game if you play it right, which is really infuriating for your opponent.
Yeah. So
sometimes it comes down to how you can utilize those cards, or which of those play styles best assist a card. Like sometimes, like if it's an aggro warlord or a warlord that maybe has close games, right? Like I find with Kroger, because of the burn, because of the speed, and sometimes just because of viral bombs, I like to have a Manifest Destiny sometimes, just because that 5 extra health. I don't need to pinch heal on that turn. But if I have got Survivor 5, I've extended my life a bit. And I don't use logos.
A lot of people forget what Survivor is.
Yeah, it's handy, or even, we almost forgot a very good one because it's so versatile is Arvis Lighter.
Oh, yes, we didn't cover them. That's hands down one of the best cards in the
Yeah, I mean, if you're not healing, you're drawing, or you're gaining, or not gaining, refilling energy, so you've got like one little extra energy that turn. And that has a lot of implications depending on your style of deck that you're using. Is it a deck that you want to draw cards? Arvis Lighter. Why not? Because it's going to do 3 things for you. Maybe at late game you don't need to draw cards, but that 2 extra health makes a difference.
And they forget how good certain cards are. That's a Swiss Army knife of cards.
Well, and that's just it. I think sometimes, maybe talking about them, reviewing them, hopefully, when they would use. Like, would you use an Arvis Lighter in a deck that I feel...
I can't think of a deck I wouldn't use it.
I couldn't say, yeah, exactly. Like, Arvis Lighter is the one out of all the healing cards, right? If I had looked at the neutral cards, not faction specific, I'm looking at just the neutral ones. I feel like Arvis Lighter is the easiest one to fit in because it's one energy. It does 3 different things. So even if I'm not going to use it for the healing, I could very well use it for those other 2 options. Whereas,
it's
go ahead.
Versatile, very versatile. It's a 3-in-1. It's like it's maybe you only plan one draw. You think I just need more draw. I don't want to pay 2 for I'm running like a low energy deck. I don't want to pay 2 for a balanced supply, so I'll throw this in, and then suddenly you realize, oh, actually, I could redo with an extra energy this turn, or I could redo it a heal. You've got those options, even if they're not your primary intention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whereas, like there's some decks where, let's say Ecritres, I'm going to go back to this because I've had a lot of experience with them. Some decks I phased them out because I was putting more cards in there that used energy or had abilities. It's like, well, I don't have time. I play Ecritres. I either, if he survives, because at this point the game was pretty fast, so it's hard to make him survive without having a built-in buff or some other way to protect him. And if I can, Ulrich Banthan, Lucretia, or Ferris Manus, maybe...
That's that. Don't hurt people.
No,
we're supposed to be helping.
Yeah, maybe like Stalwart Defenders, Imperial Fist deck. Like those decks can get some value with him a lot easier, and then have a continued value. Versus a deck where it's like, well, I like having a little extra health. All right, then just get the Pi Alpha Theta. Like you'll get a little extra health out the gate. You'll get a body, and you'll have the ability to remove stun, and same energy cost. The difference is just like how does that deck play? How do you need it? Like, do you want 9 health? You're never going to get 9 health from Ecritres. If you're lucky, you'll get 6. Unless your deck is aimed where, like, yeah, I can get a lot. I can get 15 health out of an Ecritres if my opponent doesn't have anti-stealth.
Yeah. And there's other factions and cards where you think it's good on paper, but then you actually look at the heal and you realize it's not worth it. Greatest duty? Not worth it. There's almost no scenario where you'll want that card.
I think there's an argument for like a Goreborn, because why not? Or maybe if you were doing like a meme, Mandara Kendril, where she's just running mono solo and she runs Bearded Destiny and she's got like 8 attack on her turn and heals 5 when she kills a unit. Like, okay, you can do it for the memes. Like, that's fair. But, yeah, realistically, like, if you want that, play ROM. ROM's got it built in. If you really want to use it, like, does ROM really need an extra? I mean, I don't think so. He can, but it's not going to be as big of a deal for him.
Probably.
When he pulls off the Reckoning, and you can attack again and have Skilled Rider and Greatest Duty.
Oh, Jagatai Khan?
Yes.
The healing.
Jagatai has potential. Anything that can get sneak attack or a way not to get hurt. Because otherwise you're healing 1, but you're still getting hurt, so you're really not offsetting the heal. Rom can, because he has 3 attack and 2 heal.
Right.
If we're talking dirty strategies, which it's not really healing, but Nikona Showerkin with permanent Bloodlust, and you're just like, I ping you for 3, I go into stealth, and then next turn I ping you for 3, and like unless you get unlucky or they have a ton of anti-stealth or something, you're gonna win.
Yeah. Like, and you think about like the number of anti-stealth that they'd have to break you every turn. Yeah.
Or the thing is, like, it's kind of like it's like healing's great, but not being hit is better than needing healing.
Correct. Well, yeah, and that's just it. Like, and some of those decks that you think I would like some extra health, then just hit harder. Like sometimes the best healing is just do more damage. Yeah, exactly. Like, you throw in a couple mortar strikes, get rid of your healing, do 5 damage. Like, that'll help. That'll keep the difference small. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to kind of take a look at, but there are some decks where, as time has gone on, as neutrals have been added, as strategies have changed, like it was always nice to have 2 Pi Alphas. Like now, because Pi Alpha's been changed, and not as useful. And then you look at like, well, do I even need healing in this deck anymore? Like maybe I just need 1 or 2 extra tactics that's going to do more damage, or I need a troop that's going to hit harder faster, and that will close the gap. If you're sitting back trying to heal too long, the game currently doesn't reward that. I mean, you can still play those healing cards, and there are some decks that obviously can go the distance, get double servo arms. If you Titans, I mean, have got ways to massively heal and shield and prolong the game. And shield isn't healing, but it certainly is preserving life. So, I mean, those are things, but those factions are built around that play style.
And yeah. And remember, folks, Survivor is always better than Health in every scenario.
Yeah, if you can get Survivor, especially if you've got, like, it's a Battle Honor Gain Survivor or a tactic, man, I'll tell you something like the Requiem Survivors or tactics that are just like, hey, +2/+2 in Survivor, we're starting to see more and more of those. And even though you can't throw that on a Warlord, with the exception, and I don't know if people kind of remember, like, there is a tactic for the Dark Angels now that does that. It's
Sword of the Order, some stuff like that.
It's just for the attack bonus is just for the turn, but the Survivor stays. Paladin of Glory for 4 energy.
There it is.
Yeah,
it was some generic.
Yeah, they get Survivor 2, but they also get +2/0 attack until your next turn, so that's even on your opponent's attack. Something to think about, something to consider about. Just having Survivor 2 on a Warlord, maybe that has got a bunch of Deathwing frontline protecting them already, or other ways to heal in a faction where you've got like Namat Terminators, maybe in some weird instance you're playing with Redemption, but most likely it's just a Dravian Moors. I mean, there's a lot of healing there in the Deathwing or the Dark Angels faction. Deathwing, yeah, just the whole faction is Deathwing. Dark Angels as a whole, and having Survivor 2 on top of that, it's not too bad.
Oh, it's pretty good.
So, like a Survivor 5 for 1 energy with the Blood Angels mission. That was nice when they tweaked that and added that. Super useful.
Yeah.
And shout out to the Space Wolves. They have 9 healing cards. Praising Death Guard and Space Wolves have 9 healing cards. Especially Halfdan Belay, which can be
can
heal itself for pack, 2. Is it?
Yeah, Halfdan's got the pack
heal. Itself on pack.
And
it's not too much healing, it's just 2, but still.
Well, yeah, they're going to get that pack off. And the big thing I think Space Wolves have got is that counterattack. That counterattack healing. If you get that counterattack, that can be huge with the Jortan squad.
Yeah, there's some good healing potential.
Yeah, yep.
Especially because, I mean, in Space Wolf case, they're going to be taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think we'd have to. I mean, like, I'd be very curious if we did a full tally count. I haven't done a full tally count of all the factions. Which faction ends up with the most healing? Because, yeah, Space Wolves have got several units that just either heal themselves or heal your Warlord, depending with pack. But that's a lot of units. That's options. You've got the Custodes, which have got ways to heal, game precog, heal if this unit survives now. Blood Games given you Survivor. You've got Majestic Vexillars. There's a lot of tools there, and they're typically like a mono Warlord playstyle. It doesn't mean they don't necessarily have to be, but they typically that's your winning factors is Paragon Spear.
Yeah. I mean, usually that or just being so annoying, you just outlive them through force.
Yeah, you don't need to have healing if you've got Eternal Precognition. Or you've got shield every other turn.
Yeah, the way it works.
That's the way it is. But yeah, so I mean, with healing, as far as that goes, like, what's your guys' philosophy? I guess kind of like trying to put a cap on it, because I think it's important to talk about the cards. I think some of them are just always going to be better than others. Like, you're going to pick Servo Arnis more likely than you'll ever pick Bionic Eye, even though Bionic Eye removes stealth. Like, I don't ever see anybody play that card. Like, they just don't. Like, 1 for 2 is not a bad thing, but now, why not play, Arvis Lighter? 1 for 2 and does 2 other things. May not remove stealth, but I've got other options if I want to use it that way.
Healing is nice when it's like a bonus as well, like a little kicker. Because I don't think the game rewards, like, I know in Magic for a long time you could have like an elf ball deck where basically you had nothing but like elves, and for every elf you could heal life, and all your trees were elves, and then all elves counted as 2 elves, and then suddenly like you're getting like 80 health a turn in a game where you start with 20 health and you're getting into ridiculous numbers and you just can't die, basically, unless you deck out because they can't kill you because you've essentially infinite health. And that's not really fun because it just creates this kind of pointless attrition.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, we've only got 30 cards in this game, which is a good thing, I think. And we don't probably want a load of kind of mad, like, I've got infinite health and I can't die until I deck out, because that just makes a half an hour long game where you're going to lose anyway because all you're doing is healing, you're not killing stuff. So I don't think we're in danger of that. But at the same time, even if you lean fully into healing, I don't know. Like, we don't have objective data, but like, even if you leaned into the most healing-y deck possible, you're probably trading off damage, and as a result of that, you're going to actually overall take more damage and thus lose quicker, I would think. I think specific healing for specific things, or removing stun, or, you know, you've got that weird unit that it's like a 5/3, you hit the warlord, and then you want to heal it back up so that it'll survive it. You know, it'll survive an attack from the warlord if they're stupid enough to hit you again with the warlord. That kind of thing could be useful, like more targeted. But yeah,
I think that's really where it kind of surmises, right? Like, pinch healing is good. Like, one, if you have to have it, right? You don't have to have it. Just like in some games, you don't have to have a healing. You don't have that. You don't have additional health if you're doing more damage. It helps, but if you can't find a good enough reason for it, because you can just find better ways to get more value out of it, then I don't know. Like, I don't think there's. I think the last time somebody, granted, this was years back, Vish Pop took War Master with Ferrus Manus, and that was his strategy: was use every single healing card available at the time, and as much health as possible. Servo harness, like, just max out and get to health. And somehow he powered through, and he took War Master. That was way back before all these factions were added, and that was at a time where it was like Angron and Fulgrim were on the top, so that was his competition. And Emperor's Children were not the same Emperor's Children as today. So, different strategies. The same concept, I don't think, could be utilized at all. Yeah, there's a lot more healing cards, but troops and tactics that do more things for you are more effective, like, at the end of the day. Like, if you got to put a healing in there, like, I'm not ever going to not put Crimson Spectre in a Blood Angels deck. Like, I can get board wide 4 at the very least.
I was going to say, but it's like endurance. Yeah, healing 3 is nice, but hitting all them for 3 is better.
Yes, exactly.
You know, it's the same sort of argument. But the other thing as well is, like, if you look at, I don't know, what's the most efficient burn deck? Is it still probably Perturabo or something?
Not Perturabo. He's dropped down in favor. Kroger is better.
Okay,
yeah.
Ping everyone for 3 and refresh.
Yeah.
Like, so if you, like, could you heal Kroger? Because I don't think you could. So I don't think it's probably a viable strategy.
No, and that's, like I said, that's where I with him, I think the Manifest Destiny, maybe an Arvis Light or pinch heal, like, if just like heal 2, although you're more likely to use it for drawing or refilling energy. But that his whole strategy is to stay ahead on health and whittle you down. And you don't need to heal if you're in a position that you have more health than your opponent. Healing's nice, but you don't need to heal if you've got more health than them. What you need to do is keep their health lower. Yeah,
you need to keep them in. It's the other one is like Sons of Horus. Like, you know that once you're at 10 health, they're going to face bash you, and if they have that card, you're dead.
Yep.
Like, that's their threat
and their
range.
strategy is let's get you to that lethal range, so I can wrap this up by 8 energy. Like, that's their ideal. Yeah. And, you know, in those games, your best bet is if you can stay out of the lethal range by other means. That's a good way to go about it. Healing for 2 or 3 will buy you a turn, but you can't do that as much as they can drop you for 4, drop you for 6 if they do a double Groger from what's that legendary I'm drawing a blank on all of a sudden? Second Deployment. You know, and they pull those guys out and they hit you for 6. Plus, there's also
the 3/3 speedy boys. Yeah.
Plus, they're still on the board because they didn't die, and you get an answer with them. They do it pretty well. They do it effectively. Like, you can heal for 3, and they just hit you for 6 or 8 if they fall out with the Warlord phase. That's still a losing strategy.
Not exactly a good feeling.
No, I think healing is a strategy, is not a strategy to build around, and I agree with you on that. I think
pack healing. Don't make that your deck.
Yeah, you could meme it out. Like, you certainly could. There's some decks that could just meme out with the healing, and it'd be fun. Like, I've had games as Typhon, and they're legit games against, like, an opponent, and they take me down to, like, 1 or 2 health. And I had, like, several of them. And I recovered all the way back up to 35, because that's what Death Guard do. And I had all their cards, like, all right, here we go, Purity of Will. Here we go, Ujioj. Here we go, Typhon. Like, boom. And just, that's great. But that's not what I was building the deck for. That was just my survivability. That wasn't like, hey, I'm just gonna get to 1 health.
Like for something like Karen or Agwan, you need healing because you are your own weapon. Sort of, you're going to need some healing because if you're smashing them for 2 and they're hitting you back for 2, even with Karen, I know you're paying extra damage, but basically, if they have more health than you starting out, even if they play no cards, you're still going to lose. So you have to factor in healing.
Yeah,
and I think it's stuff like Vulcan and Branton as well, because they all kick off when they get to Survivor. But then you're on, so you want to die, but then you have like 5 health. So you need to have healing factored in there, I think, as well.
Even Branson, you really don't want to die, or Vulcan, or anyone who has like the def and heal build. You still don't want to die. Angron doesn't want to get to 1 HP.
Yeah.
He wants to win before then, but if he does, it's a trick up the sleeve.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes a little extra reach if he's got an Orders from Terra, especially. But it's harder. It's harder with that change to Reckoning health.
Oh yeah, the Reckoning healing change made it so it's a lot less safe to do your original Angron strategy. And then, oh man, I wish Branson healed the 8 whenever you transform.
Or regain the shield at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shield, he deserves a shield.
Yeah.
At this point, if I'm lucky, he doesn't have a way to deal the damage, and I can delete 1 tree. If I'm not, I have lost the game. That's not exactly fun.
Although earlier today I played against a Valdor who managed to trigger 2 blood games in like just on energy 4 blood game, and like
nice.
Right, okay, this is going to be interesting.
It early on too. It kind of sets the notice. Like sometimes I've found that. Say I've got Manifest Destiny at 5 energy. I found sometimes it's better for me to play it at like 10 energy when my opponent thinks that they're getting close to lethal, and I'm like, surprise! Like I just changed your whole plan. Those 4 cards that you had in your hand, you have to play them differently now. Whereas,
because they were planning on just burning through and just finishing it out, and now you've extended the game another couple of turns.
Whereas if I give them notice at 5 energy, they're like, okay, how do I play around that? And then they've got more time to prepare. It doesn't always work out, but sometimes, like if I can hold on to it for a turn or 2, I try to.
Yeah. I think he was just going for the meme ability of 2 in a row.
Yes,
that works.
True.
Not a bad thing.
The meme is always fun.
Well, to put a cap in healing, any lost words, any thoughts, any final shout-outs for healing? Favorite cards? Favorite tactics?
One last one. Preternatural skill from Custodes.
Oh, yes.
That's just
Kills 4, precog, and wow, what a second breath.
you get to hide for a turn. And if you're playing this out, maybe that's all you need, and ping 2, hide again, and then you can ping another 2 to get your stealth back. Or not stealth.
Yeah, that is a bit disgusting.
There's a lot of disgusting stuff you can do. Also, shout out to the loyalist Titans who have too much healing to make the match way too long.
Yeah, that is the thing. Even playing a Titan I find a bit tedious. It's just I can't actually attack unless he uses abilities, but at the same time I'm being stunned. At the same time he's just slogging through like a bajillion hit points, and yeah.
It does feel. I won't say it feels bad, like when you're on the other side of that. Like I feel bad for them, right? When they're like, "You did everything right this last turn. You stunned all my stuff. You did such a great job, but now you die. Like I unstunned, I kill you, and guess what? I've got shield on everything the next turn, or I lock you down, right? I give you can't attack. Your board is full. You are at my mercy. Like." It feels bad. Like I enjoy it, like because I know it's coming, and they know it's coming too. But at the same time, I'm like, when you play everything right, and your opponent can just be like,
and it's a matchup thing. It's just it's a rock beats paper or rock beats scissors. I should say.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what you did. Like great, you played perfect. I had this one play lined up. I'm ready to go. That's it. Game. Set,
everything
match.
right, but I did it better.
Yeah, or not even I did it better. It's like you did everything right, but it's me. Like that's what it's
you did everything right. I don't care.
but
it's just the deck I'm playing, like sort of thing.
But it's Titans,
Yeah.
you know, like not me, the player, like the matchup, like that's sorry, which is not good. And hopefully by the time we have our call next week when we're doing the podcast, we might have a balanced patch to discuss, and maybe not. It'll be inclusive of some cards, but we'll see. I have a feeling, honestly, I have a feeling that the healing part won't be as big of a feature as some other things, like abilities and stats.
I just wonder if they'll sort of reduce the health or something. I'm not really sure.
We can only hope.
On the Titan weapons, maybe, or something. I don't know.
If they gave a meltdown like they have with Canis,
yes,
I think that'd be a huge thing. Yeah.
It's also pretty cool when you can like bash, and then like chain reaction, just bang, 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 bang. You know, I'm a sucker for that.
Good news.
Well, when you guys aren't playing Legions, what is it that you do? Arthur, I know you told us that you're in the Navy. Is that correct?
I'm on the Navy, and I'm currently on a frigate. So yeah, I'm the responsible guy for all the weapons and the electronics, so the cool stuff.
Are you on a boat right now?
Right now, no.
That would have been great.
Currently employed.
He's in the Imperial Navy.
With missiles and cannons and stuff.
He's in the Navy now.
Just phone him up. Can we exterminate this country, please?
Well, how about you?
What? Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Yes.
I was a teacher. I was a scientist for a very long time. Various biological sciences and hospitals and stuff. And then I went to become a teacher of physics, bizarrely, but I did physics in school and stuff, and I had biology anyway. And then, unfortunately, just before COVID, I got quite sick, and I ended up actually returning to Ireland, which is why I came back home. And when I picked this up, basically, as something to kind of keep me a bit sane, but not a job. Like I used to play a bit of Destiny 2, which is like an MMO first-person shooter, and I met great fun, a load of nice people, and have some good friends out of it. But it was kind of like a second job, and it's not conducive to like your overall health. I think if you're playing it like 20 hours a day or something, and you're trying to get better. So and then that's partially why I picked up this a bit more. But yeah, so at the minute I'm not doing much, and it turns I've to figure out what's wrong with me. I've got fibromyalgia, which is one of these weird ones that like affects middle-aged women or something, but. Apparently I've got this, so yeah, it's getting there. The last couple of months have been on the up, so things are improving. So
my wife has rolled the die and said you are now legally a middle-aged woman.
Oh, don't! I've got a litany of health issues. I can keep you here all like I'm some sort of medical freak. I can keep you here all night, but yeah, basically, but it's on the I think I'm on the mend. So fingers crossed now. Good. Just definitely fingers crossed. I need to learn to drive. It's one of the things I didn't do. So. Despite my age, because I was in the UK, cycled everywhere and everything, so I need to do that.
I wish I could live in a place where I don't have to worry about driving, and I could.
The Netherlands, man, they have a whole separate infrastructure purely for driving.
You should see Canada. There's a city, and then a 2-hour drive, and then another city, and just woods in between.
Yeah, I live in the middle of the sticks in Ireland, so like I literally have a sign. The sign is up Belfast, south Dublin, and then if you're in Dublin, it's up Belfast, south Cork. That's our infrastructure is pretty bad, despite all the money in the country and stuff. But that's another political story we won't go into here.
That's funny.
Yeah, but a scientist is kind of how I describe myself. I suppose a bit of a nerd.
All right. Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh no,
playing a Warhammer card game.
Yeah, exactly, right. and nerds make the world go round. So
it checks out.
Yeah.
Well, Axel, what you been up to?
Same old. I have a D&D campaign for the first Spelljammer. Like reworking. How many years? When was second edition D&D?
Oh, that was probably about more than 20 years ago anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started when I was about 12 or 13, so.
Yeah. It's not the best, but as long as you own Ghost of Saltmarsh at the same time, you can make it work.
The boats, yeah.
Fun. And yeah, I'll be running that tonight. We have a interesting party of only one martial fight, like one martial character. It's a monk. Everyone else is a caster.
Interesting.
So, I'm used to one rogue and one fighter every single camp, or like every single group, because people are just so used to this is what I play.
Yeah.
All good. We're wrapping up real soon. Yeah, no, it's going to be hopefully a good time. I'm going to have them start in the Underdark of Braille, so some good fun there. They don't know what cave fishers are, and I'm going to abuse that.
Little gnomes with fishing rods, right? I mean, and they catch fish.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
giant scorpions.
Yeah.
Not giant scorpions with impaling tongues that hang in the ceiling and stab you through the head. No, not that. No.
No, they're great. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Archer, before you go, is there anything you'd like to plug? Any shout-outs you'd like to give?
My awesome team, Ireland, Portugal, and my teammates on the World Cup, and to all of you guys, and thank you for inviting me for this podcast. It's amazing.
Yeah, and thanks for making it. Glad to have you on.
Thank you.
Doing a good one. This post right?
Yeah, well, I've been kind of to tie in a little bit there with the Dungeons and Dragons this last week. I've been reading Slaying the Dragon, which is it's a nonfiction. It's a secret history of Dungeons and Dragons by Ben Riggs. If anybody's actually interested in it, it's basically about the rise and fall of TSR and their staffing, their mistakes that they made, their successes that they had, how they kind of all tie together. I'm about 75% through it. It's pretty good. There's some parts I wish they would flesh out a little bit more as far as some of the individuals and some of the components, but I mean, it talks about just about everything. I think the only thing that it hasn't mentioned so far is the computer gaming, but it's talked about Dragon Strike. It's talked about TSR West trying to break into comics. Gary Gygax's Hollywood mansion, where he went off the rails for a bit. The Bloom Brothers, the TSR book deals, finding talent such as R.A. Salvatore, Margaret Weiss, Tracy Hickman. Really interesting. Really kind of neat to read. So if you're into that kind of thing, if you're into the lore of behind the lore, pick it up. It's not a massive read. It's under 300 pages, and it's pretty good.
Been running. We have a youth group that's been going on in my nearest town for 20 years. So I was part of it before I went to the UK to study and work, and it's been still there when I came back. And I'm one of the leaders there now because I'm an adult now, apparently. So they tell me. But I've been running D&D for the last 6 months. Basically, there's a bunch of kids that are kind of messing about like D&D, and I'm like, look, we'll sit down, we'll run through the intro adventure. Sort of, this is how you play D&D, kind of a bit sensibly. And that was great. I was like, oh, great. That was a tough 3 months. We got through it. They all know roughly how to play. One guy's confident enough to run it. Grand. I go, we start play a game next week. 4 more people. Can you teach us to play D&D? So I've literally just wrapped it up yesterday. So I've been teaching D&D for the last, I'd say, about 6 months.
Nice.
To newbies. Yeah. So and
players are always a treat.
Yeah, but the weirdest one was when I was in the UK. I was in Southampton. There's a really good gaming guild down there, we're running bits and pieces, and someone says, "Oh, we've got a couple of newbies. Do you mind running an intro adventure?" Yeah, no problem. 6 people turned up. No, 5 people turned up. And that was fine. Like five players is a comfortable spot for me. I like 5 is good. 6 maybe max.
I shoot
whatever.
3 to 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to go over 6. And
3 is my minimum. 3 is my minimum, I think, to just make it a bit more. Plus the DM, I suppose, and then
never include the DM in that number. Because then a 2-player game is you and a guy talking for 4 hours.
Yeah,
right.
People do that, and they say it's fun. That feels weird to me.
Yeah.
Well, I've done that in other RPGs, like Rogue Trader and stuff, where in downtime, I've kind of just written like message the DM on Facebook, going, my character's going to go do this, and because there's a bit more social kind of contract with Rogue Trader, you're kind of making deals, and I need to smuggle this contraband or whatever. Whereas you don't want to be doing that at the table and wasting time. And then it's nice as well when you kind of go, if only we had this breaching charge. Oh, I've got a box them that I smuggled in last week. That you can kind of do that kind of cool stuff as well. Whereas
more things.
Yeah, it's handy with the downtime or the in between adventures. Hey, I'm doing this, or hey, sometimes I'll do it with my players in adventures if they split up or a dream sequence. Right, I'll be like, hey, while you're camping, in between sessions, I'll text them what's going on. So in their dream, so they've got this in their head at the very least, and whatever they do with it going forward is up to them. It kind of keeps the game going along. But once you're at the table, it's hard to do individual.
Yeah. Because it depends on the dynamic of the group and stuff. The wizard probably wants to be researching spells. The monk's going to be practicing their latest kung fu meditation or whatever. Maybe the fighter's making a weapon. There's no point going through what everyone's doing at the table. And it's kind of cooler when they say, "Oh yeah, well I've learned this spell and like no one else knew about, but actually now comes in really clutch, and it's kind of a cool moment for everyone.
Mhm.
Things like that are pretty cool.
Yep.
But yeah,
God bless Xanafar's guide for downtime, though.
Yes, yeah.
Holy shit. I had some players do downtime last session just because it's like, well, you're working on a calendar schedule, and like, nothing will happen in a week. Figure something out for what you guys want to do, and it was a great time.
Yeah. And what I was going to say about the TSO thing, I don't know if you're familiar with Warhammer Weekly Vince Venturella. He's an amazing painter. No, if you look at Warhammer Weekly, he's a Golden Demon winning painter, but he actually has a video on the early days of Games Workshop, like the early days. And in the early days of Games Workshop, they were the only UK stockists of TSO or Dungeons and Dragons stuff.
Oh, interesting.
So he's got a few videos on it, but the first one or two kind of touches on this a fair bit. It might be just worth kind of to round out and like link into Games Workshop stuff. Well, if you're interested.
Yeah, there was a good video. I think you can still find it on Amazon. It's called Eye of the Beholder, and it's an entire, I want to say, like 30 to 60 minutes, and it's all about the artists of TSR, like at the gold, like the 4 or 5 like key components in there. Brom, Jeff Easley, Larry Elmore, like the guys who like Clive, was it Clive? Clay, I want to say Clay, but I think it's Clive. The guys who like, you see the art, you like, oh, I know who that is. I know that art. I know that image. I know that book cover. Those guys who basically put an image and their style and kind of like how they did their stuff, how that art style has progressed, and obviously put such iconic images into the lore and the mystique of D&D beyond TSR into Wizards of the Coast, and inspired those artists to do their things. It's kind of neat when you see, the aspect that really, when you pick up a book or you look at a book, that's all you see, but there's so much more that goes beyond it, like just who they are, what their style is, like what they bring to the table. One of the interesting anecdotes they had was, like if they did an image that they didn't like, they weren't proud of, they didn't want to sign their name to, they collectively had like this one artist name that they would use. It wasn't a real person. It was just like it was a shared pen name. So like
Bill Smith or something.
Yeah. So some of those book covers or like adventure covers where you're like, it's not really great art. Like, and you look at the artist name, it's the same on all those because they didn't think it was good enough to be to put their name to it.
I can't believe this one guy is so bad at this art.
Yeah. How did they keep hiring this guy?
But I really like that.
It's interesting, like, because and then you go and you see some of these guys and they go on to big careers elsewhere. Obviously, because TSR folds, not all of them stayed with Wizards of the Coast, and the world of role-playing games, tabletop games, fantasy gaming, digital, like it's expanded so huge. And if you've got talent, like you can pick up and you can go anywhere. So
it's interesting as well. I don't know if you've ever seen the Fighting Fantasy books by, again, Games Workshop founders E. Livingston and Steve Jackson, and a lot of their art was very, very similar, like the black and white line drawings, and they're very similar to early, like, even I think, like not quite John Blanche kind of, his was a bit more conceptual stuff, but like it's very similar in that style, like, and a lot of the armor is kind of more like Viking looking or something, historical looking. It's just interesting to see where it all kind of starts and almost at the same point, but now it's branched out and it's matured in such different directions. It's amazing.
It's a shame that Fantasy Flight Games no longer does 40K. Though, I mean, at least the blessing is Wrath and Glory 2.0 is okay.
I was going to say, I heard that what's the one that they're bringing back? It's not Wrath and Glory. Isn't there it's not a reprint, but it's like a revised version of the Rogue Trader?
Dark Heresy.
Dark Heresy, yeah.
I was looking up Rogue Trader today, actually, on a completely unrelated note. I was thinking, actually, this would be really good. This would be a really good RPG kind of introduction to Warhammer and RPGs in general. Your space pirates, that's all you kind of need to worry about. You don't need to and then you can kind of build on the lore from there. Whereas if you're playing Death Watch, you kind of need to know what Space Marines are and where your role is.
Yeah.
And with the Inquisition, you have to kind of know what they're all about. Whereas if you just go, you're space pirates or a crew of a space pirate ship, then it's a bit more. It's an easier kind of. Yeah, it's a lower barrier to entry, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find the book anywhere. It's well out of print, like $120 on Amazon or something insane.
You can find it digitally easily.
Yeah, probably. Do you like having the actual book though?
Yeah,
that's what it's about.
One of them
real books.
Dead tree.
So yeah, I did run a bit of Wrath and Glory. It doesn't live up to Fantasy Flight, but it is a competent system. The original was hot garbage. If anyone here has seen the original Wrath and Glory, it is offensively bad.
Right.
But Wrath and Glory 2 works. So that's good. Necrons are coming along with Tau as playable races soon. That'll be neat.
So, like, is this a D6 pool system by Cubicle 7? Yeah. I think they do the Age of Sigmar one, which doesn't look too bad actually.
That's also a pretty okay one.
Yeah,
I like the D6 system. The 2D20 system is my favorite of non-D20 systems.
Oh, the Mophidius. Let's stick this onto every piece of IP we can get our hands on version.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just really funny.
No, you're right. Oh no, I'm fully with you. They will take a system. There'll be exactly one book for it, and it's like, here's the IP. Here, go.
Yeah.
You're like, okay. Yeah. I ran an entire Dishonored campaign, for example. There's only one book.
Yeah,
it was fun.
I played the Star Trek one for a bit with some mates, and it's like the only system. It's the only game system where you'll ever have the skill exogeology, as in geology of alien planets, and it's relevant in the game. Let's put it that way. It's bizarre.
It's a bizarre rule set. They have a Fallout one that's getting expansions and stuff because it sold really well. They have a Homeworld one coming out soon. If anyone's ever played the Homeworld games, phenomenal spacecraft games like RTSs. In case you guys like those types of games.
Yeah, like I'm usually a D&D person. I've touched on other stuff like here and there, and I do want to run a Cyberpunk Red game just to see what it's like. It looks playable.
The newest version of the Cyberpunk rule set's based on the game that came out. And
yeah. Whereas,
does it come with all the bugs?
God, if only.
I wish. The DM is the bug. Whereas like what's the one called? Shadowrun. Like I like it, but I'm just not a fan of the whole I'm an elf, I'm a sentient walrus that can shapeshift with magic powers, and I'm a cyborg kind of all kind of thrown together, and there's trolls and there's orcs and there's dragons and there's rocket launchers. It's just a bit kitchen sink for me, but like it's really good. Like it's very fun. But I don't like crossing the streams so much.
I mean, nowadays D&D, I'm used to crossing the streams. I look at every party I've done for a while. It's like, all right, what absurd races have you brought me today? We have an Owlin, a Dragonborn, and a Purple Tiefling. All right, so we're doing this. Yeah. You guys, the first city you enter is primarily human, and they don't trust outsiders, especially not the non-generic humanoid races. They go, well, should have seen this coming.
Yeah. We had a Warforged in my last game. Warforged Warlock. Oh golly.
Our good friend Doles is playing a Warforged Paladin, and then we have a Warforged Monk in my current campaign that I'm running. See how that goes. Being a robot has its downsides.
Yeah, giant magnets or something. That needs to be a thing. What does this whole spell only affect the robot and the Paladin in full plate mail? I don't know.
What's funny is Warforged aren't constructs. I was just going to say, they're not constructs, so the construct-only spells don't affect them.
Yeah, they're like a weird hybrid.
They added a robot race, though.
Yeah, they're like they did, didn't they? And the ooze race as well. Yeah. And the mechanical... Is it the mechanical gnomes? Is that a thing?
Auto gnomes. Those are the constructs.
Oh. Yeah.
And they nerfed Hadozis. Alright, I ranted about this before, and since we're still working, we'll rant for the people at home. Hadozis had the ability where if every foot they fell, they moved 5 feet forward.
Oh, they glide, and if you jump up in the air, or you
you could move 250 feet.
It's now
changed.
Yeah, I saw that one.
I think you have to fall 10 feet in total, and you use your bonus action to do it.
Yeah.
It's now balanced. God bless.
Yeah. The problem is, like, a lot of this stuff is kind of implied common sense, but there's always someone, it doesn't say in the rules, therefore...
Yeah, rules is written. And then people go, well, Jeremy Crawford said it's okay. Scuff, I've hijacked this. I'm going to rant about Jeremy Crawford, and I'm sorry. That guy, I hate him.
You're lucky. D&D is like my other big, like Warhammer and D&D are my two big... Our two big D&D, two big nerd kind of focuses, so yeah.
Jeremy Crawford has said, just because a creature is invisible doesn't mean the players can't see it in battle.
Yes, it doesn't mean you don't know where it is. It just means
you
that
always know where invisible creatures are, which annoys me, but I can live with that. He has also said, seeing an invisible creature doesn't counteract the invisibility spell for hitting it.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
Every time my players try to argue, they're like, well, Jeremy Crawford says, like, we're not, I'm not listening to what
I start at the beginning, I go, I'm the DM. If it's not in the book, it doesn't count. I don't care what he says.
I answer, I'm like, I told you what I said, and that's what we're going off of. He's like, he's only like, like, I don't care. Like, he's not here at the table.
Anyone who ever... there's a perfect excuse for it, Scuff. He writes the numbers in the book. He doesn't write the rules for a reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's to be fair, there are some nuances. I mean, you could go off on this maybe a whole different time, but there's some nuances there in the rules that aren't cleared. But the entire the biggest rule, and maybe they need to really emphasize it with this new edition, is like, guess what? Your D&D is the deciding factor. Like, that's the rule. That's the rule. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, it's trying to find that balance between where we want to share a common rule set. Like, I don't want to play a game where suddenly every time you want to cast an arcane spell, you have to like sacrifice a small goat to Cthulhu because like that to me is too far of a departure. And like, so like a common accord is probably better. But like, from what it sounds like to me, that invisibility spell, he's like, if I think invisibility, it's I'm now invisible, you cannot see me. I might leave footprints, I might make sounds, but I'm 100% transparent. There's no. Whereas what he's describing sounds more like, like Metal Gear Solid, the stealth suit thing, where you're kind of, or like a Tau stealth suit, where they're kind of like, you turn like glass, so you can kind of see them, but it's
makes you completely invisible.
Yeah,
no
totally.
matter what on the table.
And if you're a halfling, you can hide behind anything bigger than you, and you're completely invisible. Like that's insane.
If you're invisible, you can still be seen, but if you just hide behind a barrel, no one knows you're behind the barrel.
Oh, where'd he go? I can't see. He's hidden. I'm not even going to look for him.
That's why I,
hiding rules have always been bad, though.
Yeah.
In all versus D&D, they've always been kind of
the variation.
Yeah.
Crawford has also said Paladin or a stack, and then wrote a book an errata 1 week later that says they never stack. So I don't take any of his words for that.
He also says as well, for Magic Missile, you're supposed to roll 1d4 plus, so it's 1d4 plus 1, and multiply by the number, and that's per Magic Missile. And I'm like, well, I roll a 1, all my Magic Missiles doing 2 damage. I roll a 4, all my Magic Missiles doing 5 damage. And it's more fun to roll more dice, so I just roll all the dice. I don't care.
Exactly.
His reason for doing that, which even Wizards of the Coast don't agree with that ruling, is because he wants Magic Missile to do more damage, potentially. But
it's not.
I want to toss my 40 die at the table when I use sneak attack. Come on, DM, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything you'd like to plug there, Axel? Before we go off, we can.
We've got such a long-ranted D&D rant. If you guys want to get into D&D, look up 5e tools online. It's all the books, league software, all the stuff.
If you're doing a D&D episode sometime, you want someone, give me a shout. I'll be up for that.
This is the Horus Heresy Legion's D&D episode.
Yeah, I know.
Listen, we all play it, so we can argue about it. And then
my complaint about the new stuff is that on a 20s on a skill check now, 20 is an automatic success, like a critical success, and a 1 is an automatic failure.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ignore it. That's what's fun about being the DM. Oh, that's a cool rule. I don't care.
I don't care. Yeah, yep. I cook dinner. 7 days a week. And for 3 weeks it's 21 days, and 1 day I've takeout. So I cook dinner in 3 weeks 20 times. One time I don't win a Michelin star, and another time I don't burn the house down.
Yep.
Like that's my view. Like I know you probably wouldn't roll for cooking food, but I mean, that's kind of my argument against it. There's certain kind of things where. And there's always those players that I'm rolling the dice, and you're like, I didn't even ask you to roll the dice. And I got 20, and everyone's like, yeah. You're like, no,
I'd like to
that's
take
not how it works.
Test to see if I can talk the king into letting me marry the princess. Right now, you just got drug out of the local jail dungeon. Yeah, okay, we'll do the roll. Like, who thinks who's going to say yes? Do the roll. Like, no, it's not going to happen.
I will let them do the roll, but it's going to be degrees of success. On a 25,
that's your standard.
On a 20,
DC 100. That's your DC. Enjoy.
25, you can have a formal dinner later on this evening. On anything else, you're going to be summarily executed for insolence.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, that's what you got to do as a DM. Yeah, then I'm going to plug my boy Dorn, because he does beautiful art. Greeley Clark on Instagram. Did my little crab profile pictures I use. Great guy.
Okay. Are you a fan of the Warhammer Underworld's crab meme?
Yes, he's beautiful.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to plug the deck slots, because September's patch, deck slots, ? We'll see. We'll have to see.
You want more deck slots?
We need more deck slots. We actually need. We are under-slotted for the number of warlords that are in the game. We're just going to have to deal with it. But also, September 9th, we're doing the next Bar Night Legions. The theme for that this month is going to be a little different. It's a little... it's a kind of a combination of formats, as you were. This month we're doing the wingman format, which means both your warlords need to be from the same faction, but also it's a 2-for-1, which means in deck construction, for each deck you are allowed only 2 legendary cards, and every other card has to be 2 copies. And that includes your legendary warlord. So if you take a legendary warlord, you can't take another legendary card because you can't have 2 copies of it. So that's just kind of the risk of running if you're running a legendary warlord. But so it's kind of a wingman 2-for-1. We'll see how that goes. I've got a couple other formats I was kind of thinking of to make maybe the tournament go a little bit faster, maybe even throw in some more games there. Add some more formats down the road. We'll see. We'll get there. But that is what we're doing for Barnet Legions this month. Also, the September decklist contest is live. The theme this month, we're going all the way back to the very first decklist contest that I did several years ago. So there's been new cards added that will help flesh out the possibilities. The theme is Isstvan 3. Isstvan 3 is the theme. What does that mean? Who are the legions there at Isstvan 3? What stories are there to tell at Isstvan 3? Isstvan 3 is obviously where the first 4 traitor legions, Sons of Horus, Emperor's Children, Death Guard, and World Eaters committed their own self-purge along the way prior to heading to Isstvan 5. And you've got the heroes and villains of that era. What happened to them? What adventures did they go on? So build a deck, submit a theme, send that along. Will it be Horus's corruption? Will it be the escape of the Eisenstein? Will it be, Tarek Torgadon's execution? Will it be Tarvitz's attempts to, reach his loyalist brothers on the surface of Isstvan 3? Whatever you can come up with, the top 3 decks are going to win. Gold. First place is 1,000, second place is 500, third place is 300 gold. That's just it. You just got to put a deck list together that matches the theme, tells a story, uses cards that you think are appropriate, and we'll go from there. Send me those submissions. So that's it. Those are my plugs. That's what we got going on for September.
Sounds really good.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you joining us this week, making the time, getting the chance to know some more players, introduce more players, talk about both the World Cup as well as some ideas, some thoughts on healing cards. Maybe some of that was useful for people. I hope so. I feel like it's something that we are going to use. It's not like, we're talking about cards that nobody ever uses. That could be a whole different topic down the road.
Yeah.
We can cover most of the mechanic and card pool.
I don't know if that would be helpful though. We're like, here's these 20 cards, nobody uses them. That's it. There's a reason.
It might be maybe like the most niche cards, like literally like a neutral card that you would only use in one deck, like or something might be better.
Orbital Base is a prime example of that. That's like useful in like 3 decks. It used to be like only useful in 1.
Yeah, or like an overlooked card, like something you go, oh, this is trash, and then actually in this one deck, this one situation, it's like just the be all end all. So I don't know, maybe something like that.
Unreliable
might be just
informant comes to mind. Yes.
That's the type of problem card though, where people go, "Oh, it worked on this one case, so I got to keep using it."
Right. Yeah. No, I don't mean that. I just mean where,
I know.
Like for example, if there's a way to cheat Bloodthirst onto like Nikona or another one of those two those siege type warlords where you've got 2 abilities, you can just keep spamming it out. Something like that, like something weird.
Find the way.
It's like a niche scenario, but
it's a possibility. I gotta come up with some other format lists because I'm looking at the guest list. I think next week we're gonna have Diani guest us. I haven't heard. Weiss's availability is a little rough, so I don't know if we're gonna get Team Romania on. I'd like to, but
at least get one of them.
Yeah, we should be able to get one of them, and then the next couple weeks out into October, I gotta figure out like what that's looking like, both guest lists as well as topics, because we're kind of running dry, and I hate circling back to topics we've already covered. So let's see how the World Cup goes. Let's see what balance patches we have and whatever else Everguild throws at us. In the meantime, once again, thanks for making the time. Thanks for talking with us.
Thanks for having me. And I know Arthur had to go early, but again, he's like, he said he enjoyed it. So yeah, thanks for having us. We're just 2 like random plebs, but we're having a good time.
You had a good time. You formed a team bond that'll last forever. No one else had played in the World Cup 3 for Ireland or Portugal besides the 3
this
of
is
you guys.
it.
So,
and as I say, I've met like through playing the tournament, I've met like a good load of good players, and it's been really great, like a positive experience overall.
That's
I
good.
say this every time, and I mean no shade to Team Portugal's parts only member, but the fact that Portugal got paired with Ireland is still hilarious to me.
I think it was just a numbers thing to match us up. To be honest, on the spreadsheet. Yeah.
There's some other like Eastern European countries where you're like, oh, they must be close, and then you look at a map and they're not. And there's other teams that are close, and you're like, what happened here?
Yeah,
How did
I think it was
these
just
teams get covered?
I think someone just put the names in the hat and pulled it out. A team with one person needs a team with two or something, and that kind of thing.
It's better than the alternative where Portugal just didn't get any rep.
Well, yeah, and it's the same here for Ireland.
Yeah,
it
would have been lacking members. It's
and we didn't have to fight each other like other people from our own country to kind of make the team. So that was helpful too.
That is an upsell. You didn't have to have a qualifier.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for us. Bye.
Thanks both of you again for having me. All the best. And I've discovered the podcast because of this, and I've been listening to it. It's really great, like retroactively. So yeah,
awesome.
Really looking forward to hearing the future ones and revisiting your old ones, I suppose. Yeah, it's great. Bye. All right, have a good evening, morning, wherever you are.
It ends here.
This has been another episode of the Warp Chatter Podcast. Thank you for listening.
I can't help but appreciate your talents.
It was inspiring.
I need some wood.